enough. In Melbourne town, where the suits all grind, there's a lawyer with a vision, one of a kind. He's the Aussie overlawd. He'll fight for your rights, and he's got his own channel shining bright. From the courtroom to the web, he's got it all, sharing legal knowledge, answering the call. He breaks it down in a language we all understand. The Aussie overlawd taking a stand. With his Aussie charm and his legal know-how, he's the hero we need, showing us how. He fights for justice, no case too tough. The Aussie overlawd, he's more than enough. He's more than enough. In Melbourne town, where the suits all grind, there's a lawyer with a
And good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to today's episode of the Law News and Laughter podcast. How are we all doing, folks? You got hit by 2 tornadoes on Thursday. Holy crap, hope you're alright, Boosh. Teacher study for the test. No, for some reason, in all amongst all the messing around with the chat and everything yesterday, as it turns out, I had made it so that all my messages start from the bottom going to the top, instead of going from the top going down to the bottom, so I didn't actually see any of the messages coming through, so I genuinely thought that the chat was broken. But no, as it turns out, I'm just a moron. So, what have we got today? Well, frankly, at this stage in my life, I would give my left nut for $1.5 million. But as it turns out, one protester from the George Floyd protest has decided that getting shot with a less than lethal round that cost him his left nut is sufficient compensation. Beyond that, we also have a look at the ABC's decision on why age verification rules for adult material and social media, which I'm more concerned about, will impact on Australians. We also have a man defending his wife from a gunfight with a knife, and a dying woman who has been denied a liver transplant because she mistakenly, I say mistakenly, because she drank. Which you're not supposed to do. You don't drink while you're on a liver transplant list. So, we got a few things. We're going to get stuck into it, and for the first time in a while, I'm going to play this. Okay, but we're going to start off with this. The one thing that I generally rail about fairly regularly. Australia is continuing to edge towards being a cashless society, which is complete and utter bullshit, especially given that they've just passed the digital ID bill, and we're already seeing instances of individuals having their bank accounts frozen and their funds not released because someone said something online that the bank didn't like. So let's have a look to see what Today actually had to say about this. Audio's on. Yep, no booming this morning, apparently.
This morning, and Australia is edging even closer to becoming a cashless society. Many economists right now predicting the move may only be decades away, and this all comes as one of the country's largest...
decades, one of the economists from one of the universities in Sydney is saying that he wants the government to push us to go cashless within the next 2 years. And yes, Macquarie Bank has gone completely cashless. That's what this is about. I will say it now, people. I'm not a fan of Macquarie Bank as a result of this move. But more to the point, there are a number of other banks that are doing this. For example, in my regional office area, the ANZ has recently closed. So we are down to 2 banks in the town. So of the big 4 in Australia that generally service all major cities, towns, all really the areas in between. You've got the Commonwealth Bank, which used to be state-owned and is now private and has a shocking track record. They actually had a royal inquiry into them not long ago as part of the Banking Royal Commission. But then we also have the ANZ, the Australian New Zealand Bank. You have Westpac, and then you've got the National Australia Bank. Bendigo/Adelaide Bank is coming up a close 5th. But yeah, welcome to the Schwab future. I know, right? And so in my regional office, I had to close one of my accounts because the bank left. There is no point in me holding an account with a bank to put, potentially millions of dollars in as I run a law firm. If I can't physically go in and deposit checks, if I can't physically go and talk to a teller if something goes wrong. So I said, no, there is no way in hell I'm going to be having any sort of issue with that. I'm doing well, Aussie Tank. Thank you very much for that. Hey, Beers, how are you? Awesome. Thunder. Jeez. Okay. All right.
Largest banks, Macquarie, prepares to go completely cashless from tomorrow.
Yeah, to discuss this, we are joined now by Head of Research at Compare Club, Kate Brown. Good morning to you, Kate. Tell us initially, what exactly is changing for Macquarie Bank customers?
Yeah, by the end of May, Macquarie Bank will be running out all their cash. Their customers won't be able to use cash checks. They will be completely digital.
So why,
Wow.
I mean, a few other banks are following the lead there. Why are we seeing the removal of cash and checks?
The main reason is cost. It's actually
Bullshit. Well, I mean, yes. So here's the problem. Cashless society is a meeting of various agendas, both on behalf of the bank, and you can't tell me the government isn't sticking their nose and saying, yeah, we'd love to be able to track every payment. But yes, if they no longer have to handle physical cash, they don't have to pay Armagar to transport cash, they don't have to pay for cash handling fees, and no boomerang. Sorry about that. What's the point of being a bank when they don't deal in cash? Exactly. Cash has no processing fee. But here's the thing, Eileen. They've started charging cash processing fees. In order to deal with cash now, they are charging you a fee for depositing and withdrawing cash at the bank, at certain banks. And an economist is actually proposing that as a way to make sure that cash remains in circulation by having you charged for the privilege of using what is supposed to be legal tender, which is some BS.
actually quite costly for banks to process checks, to handle cash. Cash comes with its own costs in terms of security and managing it. And we're seeing that less than 6% of Australians are using cash at point of sale now. We've seen a massive decline since COVID. It's a big cost to banks, and they're cutting it because they don't see that they're going to have a lot of customers needing it as well.
That's a crock of shit.
Well, I was just thinking about it the
Ridiculous.
other day. The only time I really, really need cash is when you need $1 coin to put in the supermarket trolley these days.
I go through probably 10, 20 bucks of cash a week alone to give to the munchkin to take for the canteen in case she wants to buy a snack, or or like the Mother's Day stall, or any number of other things. They are not thinking this through. Oh, okay, so she's going to get pocket money from now on. I have to open an account, give her a debit card from a young age, and say, okay, I'm going to transfer your pocket money in. How do you teach fiscal responsibility if they can't physically see it? Oh yeah, we're going to sit down and we'll balance your bank statement, sweetheart, so you can see exactly how much money Daddy's putting in your account for all the chores you're doing. Fucking bite me.
Days. What are the benefits of so many aspects of our lives moving cashless?
Yeah, I mean, the other one I thought of was the tooth fairy. That's where I was a little stuck too. Look, being cashless can be very beneficial. It can actually be a great way to manage your money. You've got a very good digital, record of.
That's a crock of shit too, because we know that there are plenty of examples and plenty of studies in it that people are more likely to spend more and waste their money if they can't physically see it. That's part of the whole. Isn't that one of the things that the barefoot investor goes through? Is that if you can physically see the cash, you know you're spending it, and you might double think about spending on worthless things. What's the purpose of a bank with no money? Yeah, huh? Recently, the bank shut down my cards in error while I was traveling, claimed they thought it was fraud and couldn't undo it. Without cash, I would have been stranded, literally. Yeah. Which reminds me, I need to let my bank know that I'm traveling. America's headed this way. I would say we will learn from your mistakes. Unfortunately, we won't learn from our own mistakes. No, Kathy, like I've said multiple times, Australia's the petri dish. It really is for various things. Why does the government or bank need to know what I'm buying? Exactly. They have no right to. They have no reason to. They have no excuses for it. So, if the bank has no money, then no one can rob them. Oh, but on the contrary, mate, think about it. I mean, look, the other they can say that everything's safe and everything's manageable and all that sort of stuff, but you can't tell me that. Honestly, God, I love cashless, but the amount of options for cashless transactions is insane. Well, one store accepts A and B, another only accepts B and C, and I've only got D. Yeah, hackers, basically. I mean, the digital ID bill came through, what, Thursday or Friday? And I thought it was hilarious because as soon as it passed, one of the major medical areas that is supposed to be holding all these details was promptly hacked. Almost as if to prove a point. Yeah, and they skim every transaction. That's the other thing. I mean, so that's the main issue that I have is that, so for example, hang on, I should still have, here's an American dollar, one that I just happen to have that I had sitting around. Take this dollar, hand it to somebody else. Its value remains $1. Now, for a transaction, if I were to take this dollar and put it through a card transaction, the bank then charges anywhere between a few cents to 1.5% of the transaction out of this dollar. So it is no longer worth a full dollar. So quite literally, as soon as you do a number of transactions, that dollar will disappear straight into the bank's pocket. And I'm sorry, but how the hell is that in any way related to whether or not I buy tomatoes or whether or not if I'm not doing any transaction with the bank whatsoever, why should they be able to dip into my pocket? Why should they be able to force their way into every single transaction I ever make? It is bullshit. How am I mean other dudes to tip the girls working their way through college at the local gentleman's club? Exactly, where do you swipe the card? Don't answer that. What you're saying is a cashless society speeds up inflation? It will certainly affect inflation, yes. Transformer shit was a waste of money. Yeah, I saw your message. Thank you for letting me know. Always have cash set aside just in case.
Everything you've spent, what you've done, you can move money. You're not losing change. You're not losing track of actual cash.
You are, though, because you're not paying attention to the bank fees. You're not paying attention to the transaction fees because you just accept it as part of life. So it's, oh, okay, so 15 cents out of every dollar is now going to be disappearing. No, wait, that's 15%. 1.5 cents out of every dollar is just going to be disappearing when we're already being taxed 10% GST on all of our goods and services. And they're suggesting that they want to raise that to 15%. Then you take into account, say you're doing a transaction through Google, and they take an extra tax on that. Good morning, Mum. You have the government taking their little bit of tax out of it. Eventually, the Australian dollar is worth significantly less in terms of buying power. So, of course, inflation's going to go up. Cost of living is going to go up. It's stupid because people are going to have less money. Well, when I say people are going to have less money, I mean that everyday Australians, and when it makes its way over there, everyday Americans, everyday people in the UK are going to have significantly less money because it's going to be worth less. Because ultimately, you're not going to be buying a bag of bread, loaf of bread. You're not going to be buying a loaf of bread for $4. You're going to be buying a loaf of bread for $4 plus, say, $3 worth of taxes. or transaction fees or whatever else, because the individual that produces the bread is going to have to raise their costs in order to cover how they're being taxed as well. Also, the transactions don't go right through, takes days, cash is instant. That is a good point too. So,
but at the same time, you know, there are concerns around moving completely to the digital mode as well. There are some people that is going to affect, but for a lot of people, going cashless is just, it's quick, it's easy, it's very simple.
Well, going digital, I'm glad you highlighted that because it is going to impact so many people like the elderly. I know my nan loves the security of having cash, you know, just cash to get by on a day-to-day basis. What are the pitfalls here?
There's quite a few. The elderly is a great example. The other one is around privacy. Cash is completely private. It's not traceable. You know, certainly for a lot of people who are in domestic violence situation or are being financially abused, cash is the one way they can actually transact without being tracked or followed.
that's a damn good point. I mean, they keep saying, I mean, Albanese put out that this whole thing about aiding women through domestic violence, providing like a $5,000 bonus or whatever else. How the hell are people supposed to access that if those funds have to go into an account, or is it that it's going to be that there's going to be a government account and they're given a card to make payments for services? They're not thinking this through. Financially abused is one you've never heard. So financial abuse is basically when you're in a relationship, be it a spousal relationship, be it a partner relationship. Hell, even certain family members do it. And basically, it's when someone comes in and is dictating exactly what you do or don't do with all of your accounts. They've got access, overview, oversight, and basically control over what you do with your money. Basically what the government really wants to do, let's be perfectly honest. Random lady, Hayden abused me, I need 5K from the government, lol. Is more or less how the system's being set up, from my understanding. I haven't actually deep dived too much into that. I'm going to have a look at it, but I believe that it's a 5K payment, but like 1,000 of it is in terms of actual cash or whatever else, and then it's called marriage, and then the rest of it is like put towards services, which is the other thing that really annoys me, because the government are making out that they're making all these different payments to people, especially what was lodged in the budget this year. For example, they reckon, oh, we're making $400 payments to parents that have kids in public schools. Yeah, they're not. They're making the payment to the schools or to, say, uniform shops or whatever else as a credit for whatever else. And I'm like, well, hang on. We've just outlaid however many hundreds of dollars in order to clothe and feed my daughter and that sort of thing. I'm probably not going to use that credit before it expires next year. So it's lazy. My op shop are cash only because the items they sell are below $5, mostly something they raise to go to local charities. Yeah, and think about it. For $5, if you're then taking like a 30-cent transaction fee off of that, or even if it's the 1.5%, depending on which card it is or anything like that, like charities are going to cop it as well. Particularly, for example, the Good Friday appeal. Every Easter, our firefighters stand on the crosswalk corners on Good Friday and basically walk in between cars, taking cash donations to go towards sick kids, to go towards good causes. That's all going to stop. It's basically a way of trying to remove charity from the situation. Because I can tell you right now, MasterCard and Visa and, God forbid, American Express or, you know, any of the other ones, they're not going to waive their transaction fee just because you're making a payment to a charity. Fight this in person. I would join a protest in person over this. I'll be shouting about this. Cash is tangible and the banks have no right. Borrow a few jackets. We found it. Long story short, my daughter has a habit of losing her school jacket to the point where a week ago on Friday, it was the Monday, sorry, last Monday. No, last Friday, we bought her a brand new jacket. On the Monday, she lost it. Turns out it was in her classroom the whole time. Thank God for that. Now, hang on. Where did...
Echiro says, A cashless society is a good society. We call it bartering, and most high-paid people don't actually have value.
That is very true, Chiro, and I would be very happy to do bartering. $3 a loaf in Omaha, but 90 cents for 2 loaves at a bakery. Huh, no shit. There you go. Drop memberships so we can get 45 likes. Hey, Kathy, loving you for that. Thank you. Now, there was something else there. Debt-free too, but I have 2 cards, a primary or a backup. Pay them off every month. Oh, well, to be fair, you guys have to, because you need to have credit cards and things like that to build up a credit score. We don't have that here.
Porcelain Thunder says. Also, what am I supposed to use to inhale bulgur sugar? It always tastes better out of a freshly rolled Ben Franklin.
You're just going to have to be like the high rollers and buy one of the kits with the metal straws. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. Have I said a Griff goal for Drunk Robo Lady yet? So if it's to end streams, it's going to be at 500. If it's for all super chats will be read out by Drunk Robo Lady. Are we really going to call her that? Drunk Robo Lady? I don't mind that. So all super chats that come through should be read out by Drunk Robo Lady. If it's just for people to have fun and for us to do a rumble flip and for you guys to go ham, that is going to be the 500 mark. In between that, we still have Doggo Cam at $50 and a few other things in the interim. Biden just gives free kits. No, he only gives those to Hunter, doesn't he?
Also, for the homeless, for charities as well. Charities still make a lot of money from cash donations. So there's quite a few areas where, you know, you want to have cash as an option. Another one actually is during a natural disaster. So when we've seen floods or fires, there's been a lot of people who haven't been able to purchase anything because the only option is to use cash.
That's interesting. I bet.
Oh, and by the way, yard sales will be a thing of the past. You're not going to be able to get rid of any crap anymore. God forbid you recycle stuff. Like, Biden gives free hugs, long inappropriate hugs. Oh, you know what? Hang on.
Boosh McFadden says, Biden gives free hugs. Long, inappropriate hugs.
The taxman also likes the idea of a cashless society too. Kate Brown, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Oh, well,
the budget pitches have been made.
No point to be restarting that, so... I've not been to bed since your last stream. Oh, shit. With charities, I use money orders, not giving my details. Yeah, but they're looking at phasing out money orders. I know that I'm not going to be able to use checks by the end of November this year. They'll no longer be available on my trust account. Office account checks are gone. I can't reuse them anymore. Yeah, so alternative versions of payment are just being taken out of circulation. No checks. They want cash gone. It's literally going to be electronic. And they're going to clamp down on Bitcoin as soon as we've got it as well, so that the cash, so that bank accounts and electronic transactions, basically the central banking digital currency that they're going to roll out, because we know it's on the horizon with the legislation that's already being proposed, they're going to have full control over it. And God forbid it just goes like that. So... But anyway, let's move on to the protester that lost his left nut. Protester gets $1.5 million settlement over a testicle injury caused by LAPD projectile. A Los Angeles protester who lost a testicle, whose testicle was injured, I should say, when an LAPD officer shot him with a hard foam projectile during a street demonstration in 2020, has received a $1.5 million settlement from the city, his attorneys announced on Thursday. Look how biased this article from the LA Times is. Aussie coin? Yeah. Does that mean my drug dealers will need their own FPOS terminals? That's part of the reason why they're pushing it, is to remove all private transactions.
Paul Farrell. $5. On a happy note, I have not yet caused my room to go boom today so far as I work with gunpowder.
Well, please be careful, Paul. I'd very much appreciate it if you not make things go boom. Someone lost one of his balls. Probably shouldn't laugh, but it's funny as fuck. Yeah, well... So basically what happened was he went to one of the George Floyd protests. So that's what they're not saying here. They've said they said a street demonstration in 2020. They declined to mention that, you know, he was at one of the mostly peaceful protests. So... so much for the Sunday morning swap meets. Yeah, swap meets, farmers markets, garage sales, they're all going out the window, people. it's all going to be gone. Like all the stuff where you would privately trade stock or where you would, it's got me thinking that I might need to get rid of my Pokemon card collection. Because the smaller ones, the ones that are of lesser value, no one's like, how do I get rid of those? I'm not going to be able to sell them. Time for some boom boom in the bedroom. Pay ID. I don't. Why the hell would I want my bank account linked to my mobile phone number? I'm not a fan of that. They were warm and fuzzy gatherings. He's having a custom Baldo made with some of that money. Why the hell would I want something that's custom made? What, private transactions, who has extra taxable income, or who the government should be wary of? Yep. The payout is the largest yet to arise from lawsuits accusing the LAPD of excessive force during repeated crackdowns on protesters in the wake of George Floyd's murder by Minneapolis police, which spurred massive demonstrations, insert flaming riot joke here, across the nation during the early days of the pandemic. It is also a stark reminder of the states that exist for taxpayers. Wait, what? Stakes that exist for taxpayers when police agencies use so-called less lethal weapons for crowd control, as they have repeatedly done in recent weeks to clear pro-Palestinian encampments at college campuses in California and across the nation. Minimum transactions already set at $5. That will increase. No, more to that. They the minimum transaction ones. It's either it's a minimum transaction of $5, or you have to pay a flat fee of about 30 cents. Don't use my cell phone for my banking or email. Oh, there you go. Government, you will own nothing, or we will tax you on it. Mm-hmm. Oh, not you, the protester dude. Got it. Oh, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, because he'd only need the opening on the Baldo on one side. Hey, beautifully inappropriate. How you doing? How you doing? It was trespassing. They told you bums to leave. The settlement revolves around a civil rights lawsuit protester Benjamin Montemayor, filed against the city of LA and the LAPD, alleging excessive force and other violations of his constitutional rights. Oh, hang on. I knew I forgot something. Thank you very much for the super chat. The city did not admit any liability as part of the settlement, according to a copy reviewed by The Times. Former LAPD Chief Michael Moore and the Department of Use of Force Review Board. What do you have to do to actually have a Department of Use of Force Review Board? Had both found that the officer who shot Montemayor had acted within policy, but the LAPD Police Commission, the Los Angeles Police Commission, ruled otherwise, finding that the shooting was unjustified. Grilling me up some burgers, got pretzel buns. Ooh, pretzel buns.
Sheila says, we just had a protest broken up on the campus I work at this week.
No
I got
shit.
an extra remote work day out of it.
Okay, well that's not bad. Montemayor and a friend who had been standing in a Hollywood crosswalk holding a large sign calling for the LAPD to be defunded in June 2020 when officers rushed forward, video of the incident showed. A dispersal order had been given, but Montemayor said he hadn't heard it. Oh, bullshit. It's not like they stand there with a big-ass megaphone saying, get off the street.
Tammy Fayette. $2. Hey Hayden.
Hey, Tammy, how you doing? Thank you very much for the super chat. These cities have to stop settling. He was there at his own risk. I'm inclined to agree with you on that. I really am. Here's a crazy notion for these people protesting the government. Protest the government instead of harassing private citizens trying to get to work and school. Yes, that would be great. The video showed an officer grab Montemayor's friend, causing her to drop her into the sign and move out of view. Simultaneously, another officer rushed at Montemayor as he backed away. The officer ripped the sign from his hands as Montemayor then put his hands up in the air, the video showed. Another officer then shoved him backwards. As Montemayor began to slowly move forward again, he said,
Paul Farrell. $10. Don't worry, I am being careful as I load my current stock of processed brass for the round I use for hunting. Cause I ain't paying $50 to $60 US for it.
that's smart. Save costs where you can. Cut down on the cost of living. Excellent work, Paul. Just don't go boom, is all I'm saying. We don't want to hear that sound coming from your garage. Thank you for the super chat. Did I cover the new Diddy video? No, I haven't yet. We may get to that, depending on timing. Where are we? Celebrity, another officer stepped forward and shot him with a 40mm projectile from several feet away, the video showed. A 4 centimeter. 4 centimeter. Okay, so let's see. Wait, are they in centimeters? Yeah, that'd be centimeters. Wait, no, is that going to be more? Shit, what did I do with my... I usually keep a measuring tape around for this sort of shit. I'm not 100% sure what I've done with it. Oh well, doesn't matter. So, something like that hit him in the nut and exploded it. Hayden wants his barrel to go boom. Only in certain situations. I need to learn to reload, says King Bob. Such weapons can cause devastating injuries, especially at close range. The round fired at Montemayor caused his testicle to immediately swell. The right one was the size of a grapefruit, the lawsuit said. Extra doubt. Extra doubt that the testicle itself swelled to the size of a grapefruit. Did he go into prison over that video? I should bloody well hope so. How many grey names do we have in chat? That's actually a good question. There's only a few, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that... Oh, you know, I'm getting her to read that one.
Brybear says, a ball bag bean bag round.
It sounds so much better coming from her. Such a round caused his testicle to swell immediately, right one the size of the grapefruit, the lawsuit alleged. He was rushed to the emergency surgery, which involved piecing back together portions of his testicle which had exploded, the lawsuit said. Montemayor's experience was highlighted in an extensive time story just days later about many protesters being injured by LAPD officers using projectiles and batons. They shouldn't have fucking been there. It's really that freaking simple. Statute of limitations has expired. Oh, well, there you go. Hey, reading by nature. How you doing? Could be worse. At least it wasn't a frozen paintball. Montemayor, now 32 and a filmmaker, said he was mostly recovered, but that he still experiences back pain that began after his surgery. My nuts hurt so bad that I get back pain. That's funny. And has a heightened nervous system response every time he sees police. He said reading about the weapons being hauled out by police at recent campus protests was frightening. I'm scared that they're still being wielded by people who aren't adequately trained to handle them and that they're misusing their power. It's sad that it's behavior that we have to continue to call attention to. 2.5 centimeters to an inch. Yeah, so it's just under 2 inches worth of hardened foam that hit this guy in the nuts.
.org. 1 gifted. Gifted 1 Aussie Overlaw'd memberships.
Thank you very much. And that was Guy fan number 1. Got the membership from .org. Congratulations. A kick to the nuts can make a man fall to the ground. Yep. Still amazed so many people feel these criminals are victims. I know, right? It's sad that it's behavior we continue to have to call attention to. Montemayor said that he planned to use the settlement money to build a normal life. You're going to get one of those inflatable testicles. It was a shotgun less than lethal round, more than likely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he got hit with. So, better use the picture of his swollen junk on his grinder profile pic. Perhaps putting it towards buying a house or saving for retirement. He said he also wants to use it to bring more awareness to such a broken system. Neither LAPD nor the city attorney, Heidi, it's got to be Heidi, Feldstein Soto, responded on Thursday to a request for comment from the settlement. On the settlement. My nose is going again. Damn it. Your wife took your nuts, so you're good. David Clay Washington, one of Montemayor's attorneys, said the LAPD's response to the 2020 demonstrations was chaotic and excessive, and despite independent investigations and dozens of lawsuits, it remains that way today. We saw it most recently in the LAPD's response to demonstrations at UCLA. Isn't it literally just like, stop breaking the law, asshole? Like, don't get me wrong. Cops can be heavy-handed dicks. We know this. But if you're doing something that you have already been warned is against the law, you have to expect certain repercussions. Tom, apparently that's a urban myth. I mean, I'd heard it before, but I think it was debunked, actually. Please don't... I was going to say, please don't send me pictures to prove me wrong. I don't really care. I do not give a shit. Under the parameters under the LAPD, under which LAPD officers are allowed to use such weapons, and the information that they must track and report when they are used have changed since 2020 because of a court injunction and passage of a state law. Under the changes, 40mm rounds are supposed to only be used by trained officers when absolutely necessary against people acting violently or presenting an immediate threat to the officer or others. They're not to be aimed indiscriminately at crowds, and officers are forbidden from targeting the head, neck, face, eyes, kidneys, groin, chest, or spine. Where the hell are you supposed to hit someone with a less than lethal round then? If you can't hit the head, which I get, the neck, fair enough, face, eyes, kidneys, groin, chest, or spine. Basically, you're aiming for the leg or lower. Like, what? I suppose you can aim for the arms as well. But I mean, as we've seen from like zombie flicks, it's literally, and they just keep moving. So, if shot in the balls in World War One, fellow soldiers nicknamed him Screamer. That's funny. Never mind, he got hit with a 40 Mike ouch round. Yeah. Well, no, because arguably the stomach, depending on how close, like if you're aiming at the stomach, they could turn around and argue that that it's close enough to the kidneys. Like, I know that that's a ridiculous argument, but, you know. The LAPD has said that its use of projectile weapons at campus protests has been extremely limited. The Montemayor settlement follows others. Dion Jones, a protester who was shot in the face by an LAPD projectile, and was also featured in the Times' earliest coverage of police injuries.
Kathy Trout. 5 gifted. Gifted 5 Aussie Overlaw'd memberships.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Hugely appreciate that. Congratulations to Sheila, Read by Nature, Amazing Disgrace, Low Raw, Mike L, and David Nelson. I thought that was supposed to be reading out the events, which was, so it should be reading out who got the memberships as well. That's annoying. I'll see if I can work that out later too. Was also featured in the Times' earliest coverage of injuries to the protests in 2020. He won an $860,000 settlement from the city last year. Is Sinast... Are you kidding me? Excuse me. Is Sinistra a protester who was shot in the head with an LAPD projectile and was also featured in the Times? Way to just keep banging on about it. Congratulations, LA Times. You covered people that had been injured at a riot. Stop referring back to it. I don't care. Wait, what was that? I think I might have missed something there. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Less than lethal, even though it can still be lethal, pointless nomenclature. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I really do. And it's like, well, what is technically less than lethal? Because, I mean, getting shot with by a beanbag round... I mean, if this is supposed to be an absolute last resort, where does the, how do you stagger it in terms of use of taser? How do you stagger it in terms of use of batons? How do you stagger...
Lauro R says. Ty Kathy Trout.
Oops, hit the wrong one.
Brybear says. Now, these tarts are going to go to protests looking for payout injuries.
Pretty much, either that or they're going to know that even if they disobey and they go and they argue with the police and, you know, stop resisting, that they're going to get a massive payout. So... Oh, don't stress, dog. I appreciate you just being here, mate. To be fair, the LAPD uses less than lethal a lot, do they? Okay. Everything can possibly be lethal. Yeah. What are we supposed to use? Harsh language? No, because that could be considered less than lethal because you might hurt their fifis. The largest case against the city over LAPD's actions in 2020, a class action lawsuit representing hundreds of protesters who alleged they were injured, improperly detained, and otherwise mistreated, is still pending. Medical and legal experts have repeatedly called on police agencies in California to stop using projectile weapons at fast-moving protests and other crowd control settings. So how the hell are they supposed to control the crowd? What are they supposed to do? Just open fire with live ammunition?
Deanna Scholler says, cut husband and son's hair, finally done. The boy is hairy as a bear.
Oh no. Here in NZ, the cops shot a chap and put him in a wheelchair. He sued, claiming they had no reason to shoot him. He was threatening to blow them up with a hand grenade at the time. Wow. Police say the weapons are only one of the tools that officers have to keep themselves safe in volatile settings. I would agree with that. The weapons have been used by police at multiple college campuses in recent weeks, including UCS, UCLA, and UC Irvine, I should say. These water cannons with acid dye. Can't get that stuff off for weeks. Where did he get the hand grenade? Asking for a friend? I don't want to know. Do not want to know. All right, so moving on to the whole idea of like the digital ID sort of leads into our next one as well. So I probably should have actually started with this story, went to the digital ID, and then moved on to this. But we're going to talk about age verification and how they're trying to impose it here. Why did that one not get read? Hang on.
Boosh McFadden says, what is a billabong anyway? He, I made the robot say bong. 4 months. Cheers. This chat rocks.
Okay. Not quite sure why that, sent you a Fartgate funny skit, check your email. Do I even want to know what Fartgate is? Oh, the judge. Hang on. Is that what you mean? The judge in...
Orc. 5 gifted.
Dude.
Gifted 5 Aussie Overlaw'd memberships.
Okay, but now you have to make sure you raise a glass for me when you go to your mate's birthday. So Roger de Lambord, C. John, Deanna Scholler, Gimva, Pluckett. Hello, Pluckett. Congratulations all on getting memberships. There's a gift war going on in chat. Yep. Maybe they could use liquid ass like somebody at Columbia did. Heh. That was funny. Is there a Bill A. Bong in the phone book? Let's have a look. Yellowpages.com.au. Oh wait, no, I need white pages, don't I? Because it's residential. Whitepages.com.au. Residential. No, I don't want you knowing my location. Bong. B. Australia. Oh, seriously? I've got to search by... Okay, let's see if there's any in Victoria then. There's a C bong and an M bong. New South, and I want to be very clear. I'm not doxing anyone here right now. This is all perfectly available information. I'm not using anything that's special. F bong, H bong, M bong, MI bong, Y bong, Y bong. Do we have phone books anymore? Some do. Oh, okay. You've been at his since 1 p.m. Fair enough. It'll be under William. Oh, yeah, actually. No, I just wanted to know whether or not there was a B bong, but you're absolutely right. Hang on. Please let there be a... We got LM bong, N bong. Queensland, Victoria. Let's try Western Australia. There we go. We have a WWL... We have a WWL bong. That's funny. All right. Anyway, moving on. Had a college roommate with the last name Bong. Oh, nice. Hello, HT. Who's a friend who loves to play bing bong, bing bong? Hang on.
Oosh McFadden says, who's the friend who loves to play? Bing bong, bing bong.
Okay. How age verification rules for porn and social media could impact millions of Australian adults. Do they really? Okay, you know what the funny thing is? With the amount of online shopping, I actually think I know which website that is.
Kathy Trout says, I am using my kitchen remodel money.
Oh, please don't do that. Please. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Is there a Michelin Lebong? Okay. Millions of Australians could be pressed to hand over their data in exchange for social media access, online porn, or gaming under an age verification scheme. Australians are on the path towards introducing age verification
Kathy
laws.
Trout. 5 gifted. Gifted 5 Aussie Overlaw'd memberships.
God damn. HT, Will Call Magic, Amos Marinset, Professor Fate, and Boots all got memberships from Kathy. Kathy, you're on fire today. Thank you, girl. Appreciate it. Australia's on the path towards introducing age verification laws, with the federal government funding a $6.5 million trial of technology designed to protect children online. This is not the government's purpose. This is not the government's business.
Orc says, I'm using my bill paying money LOL.
No, do not do that. Do not put yourself out like that, okay? Bad to Orc. You a Doggo Cam yet? Oh, Doggo Cam was like ages ago. She's, I don't actually know that I'd be able to get her in here, basically. Just want to put tile under the refrigerator. Huh. Where are we? The scheme won't only affect children. If it goes ahead, people of all ages will have to prove that they're old enough to access certain content. It's been labelled a porn passport by the digital rights group Electronic Frontiers Australia. It essentially requires anyone to establish their age in order to access a website providing adult content. Using the money I found in a bag that fell out of an armoured truck. So by default, we're regulating the rest of the adult public. Wait, hang on. It essentially requires anyone to establish their age in order to access a website providing adult content. So by default, we're regulating the rest of the adult public in an endeavour to restrict access by minors. The trial was initially framed in terms of underage porn use and unspecified online harms, but the government has since broadened its focus to social media and gaming. Social media is going to be one of the use case scenarios that will be examined, said Communications Minister Michelle Rowland. We know that social media platforms already have minimum ages for users. The question is whether or not they are being enforced. Research indicates that more than half of all Australians have used online porn, although up-to-date and authoritative data is hard to come by. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, so they're going... No, Earl Scott, because the next thing they're going to come after is the VPNs. They've already flagged it in the latest stuff with the eSafety Commissioner that I've noticed, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes as well. Wow, how much would you not want them using this photo when you're talking about a passport for porn? Like, I legit feel bad for this guy. Many more Australians use social media, survey data says. Survey data varies, but 70 to 80% of the population are thought to be active users. No shit, you think? When it's so easily integrated into everything, a Gmail account, a Facebook account, or an X account. Look how many friends I have now. Next month I'll be using my roofing money. Please don't. I'm sure I can use umbrellas to replace what I can't pay for. Oh my god. Don't make me feel bad. They'll be asked to participate in eventual schemes. What? They will be asked to participate if an eventual scheme is as broad as a trial. It's a fundamental invasion of privacy, and we do have a right to remain anonymous in public spaces, Mr. Payne said. The question is, would the vast majority of Australians be willing to participate? That's precisely why we're conducting the trial, said Ms. Rowland. There's been bipartisan support for the push since April, but prior to that, there was a debate as to whether the technology was mature enough. It's only a matter of time before the digital ID gets applied to ISPs in general and then your SOL. Yeah, exactly. But a growing age verification industry says the tech has already been proven. We provide the services to the biggest banks in Australia who still get hacked, who still have all sorts of issues. No worries, get some sleep, dog. Thank you, buddy. X would be stuffed for Aussies then as for all the adult stuff on there. Yeah, exactly. That's what this is a push for them to control what we do and don't see. Here we go. Here she comes out of the woodwork. The E-Safety Commissioner's roadmap makes it clear that identity companies such as IDverse would require the tick of approval from a regulator in order to participate in any scheme. EFA warns that there are no guarantees. Some people have genuine concerns about honeypots of data being hacked, but that's not how technology works anymore. We only send the 18 plus status across to the adult site. There's no name, there's no email address, there's no number, which means you are still the one holding the email, holding the 18 plus verification, which means you can still be hacked. Don't spit on my cupcake and call it frosting. So bad you can't watch anymore. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I can see that there's certain things that are like looking a little bit slower than usual on my end, so I'm hoping that it's not my computer that's doing it. How does the video look? Are we okay? Is the audio okay? Ironic that the same people are pushing for grown men to be in locker rooms with little girls. We sent it across and we deleted immediate. There's no honeypot of data.
Abomination. $2. Here. Have all the money that I saved up in my flamethrower robo-doggo savings.
Thank you for the rumble rant, Abomination. You saved a whole $2 towards the Terminator. Dude, if I was in America, I'd so own one of those things. I really, honestly. You kind of read? No, that's okay. That I know about because I've got the added saturation on. I call bullshit on this. We delete it immediately so there's no honeypot of data. You're required under the Privacy Act to maintain certain records. So I call bullshit on that. Where are we? He says the technology has reached a tipping point, and that's why I think the law can now be passed, whereas it couldn't have been perhaps 5 years ago. Details of the trial are yet to be revealed, but we have some clues about what kind of tech is being considered. The E-Safety Commissioner has recommended a double-blind tokenized approach, which would involve a combination of techniques. So all of the methods, which are the most accurate? So we've got biometrics. Privacy risk is high. The law considers biometric data to be highly sensitive, as well they should. It's moderate but imprecise. Facial analysis is more accurate than vocal analysis, but it's only intended as an estimate. AI profiling guesses your age using other data the website has collected about you, such as how long you spent on the page, the ages of people in your network. Wait, what? You're going to deep dive into who I'm connected with in order to work out whether or not it's okay for me to access a porn site? I'm sorry, what now? Name one government that's raised a child successfully and normally. Well, hey, I read a thing this morning about the feral child that was found in the Indian wilderness in like 57 or something. Apparently only lived 15 years after leaving the care of the wolves. So, know people that sound way younger than they are. Yep. Hard identifiers are proxies, usually government-issued documents such as your birth certificate, passport, and driver's license.
$5. With this topic that isn't spit, they are trying to pass off as frosting.
That's bad, but thank you, Paul. Appreciate the super chat. I'm not going to provide... I'm sorry. I'm not going to give a porn site or a social media site or a video game my passport or driver's license number. Like, seriously, are they insane with this? Validated using a separate database or a real-time photo or proxy might be your credit card or phone contract in jurisdictions where only adults can obtain them. I'm not going to provide a porn site with my credit card details. I don't care if they say that's going to be immediately deleted. Like, account-based assurance is when you verify your age via a separate platform such as Facebook or Google. Age gating usually involves a landing page that asks you if you're old enough to proceed, but there's nothing to stop you from lying. Yeah, which is the one that most websites already have, so. Wait for scammers to get more info? Yeah, especially given they're pushing the digital ID shit. And then as soon as they have this information, it's literally they've got access to your entire freaking life. You're gonna have to get a new hobby. Thanks, Mom. Oh, you mean the streaming? Never give a corn site your credit card. They'll charge it to all their affiliate channels. Yep. I can just see immigration officers' face when they open your passport and see you've been using it, and you see the various hub stamps. Okay. VPNs, the elephant in the room. Almost all of the methods on the table are vulnerable to VPNs or virtual private networks, which is why the E-Safety Commissioner is going to go after them next. She's already flagged it in an affidavit that was lodged in the federal court. Separately, in a court battle against Elon Musk's... almost all the methods can be on the table are vulnerable to VPNs or virtual private networks, which can obscure a person's location and bypass controls. Separately, in a court battle against Elon Musk's platform X, the E-Safety Commission has cited research that a quarter of all Australian internet users have VPN technology in place. VPNs have been a significant challenge in jurisdictions where age verification has been rolled out. So far, laws have been passed in the UK, France, Germany, Canada, and 11 US states, although only a handful of those have the schemes up and running. In Texas, porn use appeared to decline by roughly 80% after a scheme was introduced suggesting that in reality, Texans were dodging the scheme using VPNs. Yes, it's true. This is currently in Australia. Do I do the streaming after I look at porn? No, porn first, then streaming. VHS types will be like vinyl. Oh my god, we're going to get back to... cashless society, so we're all going to be bartering old porn tapes. Oh no. Or CDs and DVDs. I'll give you 2 chickens for a Blu-ray of Debbie Does Dallas. Sadly, the 30-page superfine print agreements you sign up for Facebook and Google allow them to do pretty much anything they like with your data. Yep. Before I go, hi from Ireland. What have I stumbled into? Basically, we're looking at the ABC's view on what's going to happen with data privacy, and because they're looking at putting age verification across the board on social media and porn sites. And we're not just talking like the stuff where you just enter your age and say, yes, I'm over the age. They're saying that they may want you to enter your passport or credit card number or any number of other ways to prove you are legitimately over the age of 18. Now, I have massive issues with this. Might have a friend that has Caligula on VHS. Yo, dog, I got that OG Blackula, $50. In any apocalypse, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, sugar, and porn are always currency. Of course they are. So the pirate sites will win? No, because we won't be able to access the pirate sites. They have biometric verification. Oh, God. The industry acknowledges it's a challenge, but argues that it would be a mistake to let perfect get in the way of good. I don't mind if adults or older teenagers use VPNs to get around age verification rules. The point of the law, in my mind, is to stop young children, primary school age kids, accessing pornography on their smartphones in the playground. What the That's not a government issue. If your kid is on the school playground accessing porn, that's a parenting problem. And that's what I have this is my biggest issue, is the government seems to be forcing their way into parental responsibility. Like, I get it. There are so many people out there that are so focused on being friends with their kids that they're not actually parenting. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden up to the government to be doing this. Just think, kids can see corn just by turning safe mode off on Google. It's true. Backdoor Sluts 9 makes Kinky Cleaner 6 look like Naughty Nurses 3. You know what? No, I want the order. I want to hear what she says about that.
CPT Zap Brannigan says, Backdoor SLTS 9 makes Kinky Cleaners 6 look like Naughty Nurses 3.
Can't they just find porn mags in the woods like the good old days? I know, right? That's a problem that no modern society should accept. The solution is there to stop it. That's not a solution, and it's not going to stop it. That's the long and the short of it. Government wants to control every aspect of a free market. Could have sworn there was a term for that. Fast something, bundle of sticks, FA something. No, I call it, like, totalitarianism. Saw a porn at a slumber party in the 5th grade. My poor young brain couldn't understand what I was seeing. Okay. Buy your kids one of them kids' secure phones. Exactly. If your kid has access to porn in the playground, that's your fault. I'm sorry. There's no way around that. The government wants to show porn to 6-year-olds, but they don't want 14-year-old hormonal boys looking at it. Okay, whatever, they're wrong. My fighters were monitored through my phone computer, so everything they accessed. They're grown up now, and it's their problem to deal with. Yeah. Pretty much what it boils down to. The real harms of seeing porn at a young age. Here we go. Adam, now in his mid-30s and receiving treatment for porn addiction, first saw porn when he was 12 or 13. I don't want to admit this because my mother's in chat, but I was younger than that. The first, ironically, okay, admittedly, and this is going to play right into the government's hands here. The first time that I was exposed to any sort of adult content material was when some dumbass in the school library decided to search hentai. Now, that kid got busted badly, but I remember specifically, like, I don't remember what the image looked like, but I remember seeing something on the computer as I walked past and then seeing them get busted. And that was in, like, 4th grade, I think. How old would I be in 4th grade? Like, 10 or 11, I think. We were on the family computer after school one day and we're just Googling sex or porn or whatever, and it came up, he said. I do remember specifically thinking, oh, I can just find that out. Like, well, it was that easy. Early 70s. How old do you think I am? The E-Safety Commissioner says on average, young Australians first encounter online porn at the age of 13. 2 decades after Adam's first experience, it's happening on smartphones, rather than on the family PC, and access is easier than ever. Notice how they're honing in on kids and porn. You notice how they're still like... But the whole point is that they're extending it to social media as well. They're hiding this behind the fact that they want control over various platforms. And they're using it as a social justice cause, or what would be called a legitimate cause, shall we say, in order to curtail people's freedoms. This sort of shit drives me up the fucking wall. Old enough to be a boomer, so we all think you're elderly, but you look okay for your age.
Abomination.
Thank you.
$2. Anybody else really tired of corrupt officials using child safety as a Trojan horse for their delusional fantasies?
Well, they're looking to ban this on phones, and then all of a sudden they're okay with having... I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the words. They're okay with having certain individuals go in and read books. And when I say that, I'm not talking about George Bush reading books to kids on 9/11. Adam reckons his porn addiction began before he'd even had his first kiss. Being introduced to it before I had any knowledge about all aspects of sex definitely led me to keep going back to it because that was my baseline now. That's a you problem. That is something you should have talked to your parents about. That's something that you should have had a good enough relationship with your parents to speak about. And you should have gotten therapy from a young age. I admit that. Okay, yes, you personally had a problem. Just because one person gets a splinter in their foot does not mean that you remove all of the sleepers from the railway track. Like, only people that should be able to curtail another person's freedom is parents in regard to some of their children's activities. Yeah. Parental controls are a thing. Parents learn to use them before you buy your kids any devices. Yep. Let me put it this way. My 5-year-old has her own phone. It was a spare one that I had from work. I gave it to her so that she can watch YouTube Kids. YouTube Kids. I get a list of all the searches that are done, and for the most part, she's just continually watching the same video over and over again, something about mermaids, and I've sat and watched it to double check, make sure that it's okay. And then there's like mermaids versus vampires and a few other things, and it's like, I remember looking at Cinemax late nights at the squiggly pictures to watch softcore. Here I figured you wanted to remove everyone's foot when that one guy got a splinter in his foot. That would have been a better analogy. I was sort of doing that one on the fly. But yes, just because one guy gets a splinter in his foot doesn't mean you remove everyone's feet. What does more damage? Porn at 13 or banging a teacher at 13? That's a damn good point, Sanglant. Remember when Bill Heffernan used parliamentary privilege to expose the PDF files in Parliament and he was retired shortly thereafter? No comment. I do think it impacted the way I went into my sexual experiences, expecting women to have sex the way that I had already seen it. But Adam doesn't believe age verification technology will work the way that the political leaders hope. No, it's not that it's going to work exactly how they're hoping because it's not going to do what they are saying that they intend it to do. One splinter, need to get rid of all the wood that can cause a splinter. I got frisbees banned at my elementary school back in the day. Kid broke his arm somehow. You threw a frisbee that hard that it broke a kid's arm, or did he fall over trying to catch it? It's going to be easy to get around, and of everyone, teenagers are going to be the most tech savvy. I would much rather see whatever money being assigned to this in the budget be assigned to education, not just education of kids, education of parents. It's pretty much what that boils down to, yeah. I mean, they're happy to be talking to our kids at very young ages about all this sort of shit, but they don't want to leave it to parents to guard and basically deal with the things that come up. Like, I'm sorry, but that's some bullshit right there. That's funny. My dad said he had a porn mag he hid from his parents when he was a kid. It turned out fine. Almost like parenting and environment have an impact. I know, right? It was full contact as long as the teachers were not looking our way. That's awesome. That's pretty freaking awesome. Oh, all right. Let's whip through some of the smaller news stories now, shall we? That was not one of the smaller ones, I don't believe. Oh no, it's short. We can make our way through this. Okay, so dying woman, just 36, is denied a liver transplant from her own partner after doctors made an alarming discovery. A dying woman has been denied a partial liver transplant from her own partner for drinking while she was on the waiting list. Amanda Husk, 36, has been on life support for 3 months awaiting a much-needed organ, but she was denied the transplant after medics found the struggling alcoholic had relapsed before being admitted to hospital. Now her devastated loved ones have been told that she has just weeks to live, despite Husk agreeing to enter into an addiction program once she got her new liver. This is some bullshit. If the liver has been sourced privately, then the requirements and the rules should not have any implications on it whatsoever. If it is a family member, if it is a loved one, if it is a privately sourced organ transplant, the government can get fucked. Parents want to choose the gender of their child, but we can't have corn. Nope, exactly. A full contact frisbee, is that like nude polo or reverse 50-yard sprint? Poor stock photo guy being relegated to a porn addict. This is a wake-up call for her. She wanted to to make every advantage and every opportunity to make sure she could get this transplant and turn her life around, her partner Nathan Allen said to CTV News. Oh, the poor thing. Allen had offered to be a donor himself as he is a matching blood type. However, medics at the University Health Network in Ontario have refused the transplant, citing minimal abstinence outside of hospital. Allen's next course of action is to try and get Huss to Europe, where the transplant would be possible, but he fears she may not survive that long. We were told last week she has a couple of weeks left to live, maybe a month if she's very lucky, he said, explaining the treatment could cost $300,000. I'll do whatever I can to save her life, just like a medical professional should be doing here. Huss began drinking as a teenager and struggled to get her addiction under control. Heartbreaking case that has ignited ethical questions around the treatment of addiction. Around 600 people are currently awaiting a liver transplant for a variety of reasons. About 1 in 10 who receive a transplant for alcoholic liver disease return to drinking. Deborah Selkirk, whose husband Mark died in 2010 after being denied a liver transplant due to drinking, slams the decision. A life-saving procedure is being based on perceived poor behaviour. People aren't turned away because they didn't do exercise or because they worked too much and they didn't get enough sleep or they didn't follow doctor's orders. So in Nathan and Amanda's case, you're seeing someone being told, you didn't follow doctor's orders, so we're not going to help you. We're going to let you die. Selkirk campaigns for more compassion towards those with liver failure caused by alcohol abuse. Edmonton liver transplant surgeon, Canadian liver transplant surgeon Dr. Soumya Jayakuma, who was not involved in Huss'
Paul
case.
Farrell, $2. Got to love that National Health Care of Canada.
Oh, wrong button. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it, Paul. But they still took the privately donated liver and gave it away to somebody else. Well, I mean, he may not have had the surgery yet. Nick has 5 backups and 10 kidneys. As bad as it sounds, I wish people would just stop harping on about it. The man can drink. What's your point? Probably took the liver from the other person and gave it to somebody else, except the transplant is very unlikely to succeed. So you've harmed the donor and opened yourself to liability. If the donor is someone that is related to them and are doing it altruistically, I don't think that should come into it. And I think that if everybody signs a legal waiver, then there shouldn't be any sort of an issue around it. People are absolutely turned away for not exercising, being overweight and smoking, etc. Yeah. Liver is okay with bacon. Ew. Doesn't it taste like iron? Explain the criteria for transplants is usually fairly uniform across Canada. It's a precious gift. It's a limited resource. As you can imagine, making these decisions can result in a significant amount of moral distress with members of the team. We can give you a brand new liver, but if we're not going to be able to change all the circumstances that led to the liver failing, then what have we really done you a service? So because you may relapse, we're going to let you die. I would say every single transplant centre in Canada is having difficulty with both access to mental health funding for patients, as well as having access to mental health practitioners for transplant programs. There were more than 45,000 liver disease deaths in the US due to alcohol in 2022, according to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Around 29,000 of the deaths were men, and the remaining was 16,000 were women. Typically, alcoholic liver disease has affected more men than women. However, rates amongst females are on the rise, in line with more women drinking than previously. You think maybe that's got something to do with stress, maybe? Off topic, the human body is made up of less than 1% of carbs, yet that is a large portion of the US diet. I was watching something last night. Apparently, you're supposed to eat a saltine cracker to determine how much carbs you're supposed to eat. Depending on how quickly it goes from salty to sweet, will tell you roughly. Apparently, there's some sort of scale you can use to work out, like genetically or biologically, what sort of carbs you're able to intake and how much you're supposed to be having per day. I make ridiculous liver pate seared in garlic onion oil. I serve the fried garlic thins on the side. Boosh, I'm so glad that I don't live near you. I would get so much fatter than I already am. Oh, I'm so showing this. I watched that the other day. Watched that yesterday. I'm so going over that. The disease, which causes abdominal pain, fatigue, jaundice, and amongst other symptoms, has a higher mortality risk in women. Investigators from the Smith Heart Institute in Cedars-Sinai and colleagues found that women with steatoic liver disease related to alcohol consumption have almost twice the risk of dying within a certain period than men with the same condition.
Kathy Trout says, in sickness or health, if I could give my partner a few more months, it would be worth it. My husband died after a simple surgery. I'm not looking for sympathy here. Just love everyone.
And that's just it, Kathy. I mean, to any individual, what is a few more months worth to spend with a loved one? Even if it doesn't fix the underlying problem, if it buys the individual a few more months of life, of experiences, of spending quality time with loved ones. So, no, I completely agree with you on that. Medics believe this may be because women produce less alcohol-busting enzymes than men and generally have a lower mass and body water content. We're unable to comment on specific cases due to patient privacy, but can say there are multiple criteria for living donor eligibility, only two of which are blood type and willingness. Recipient criteria is governed jointly by transplant centers and Trillium Gift of Life Network, UHN officials said. I wonder if the insurance rejected it when she started drinking again, or the government did. From the sounds of it, it was the government. Because the guy's saying that he could be spending the $300,000 to get her to Europe. So it sounds like they're loaded anyway. Or they've sold the house and he's willing to do anything to make sure that his partner receives the transplant. So you're a good bloke, Aussie. Cousin's co-worker had half his foot removed. He stepped on a piece of glass that had it removed. They didn't get all of it and got infected. After 3 or 4 trips, they kept cutting. Jesus. All right, where's this one? This is funny, okay? So that we've got a little bit of lightheartedness, this was funny. Moment Twins 8, who surprisingly have some very thick British accents, hilariously fume after discovering 2 ice creams will cost them a staggering £9. 2 young girls have hit out at the cost of living crisis after an ice cream van tried to charge them £9 for 2 ice creams. And they flipped their shit because he would only take card as well. She was standing there with money and he wouldn't take it. Twins Marnie and Mila from Burnley were walking in the park when they thought they would stop for an ice cream. The cost of living has hit many households in the UK, with families having to cut back on non-essentials and making their pennies and pounds count. But the 8-year-olds didn't quite realise how much goods had shot up in price until they arrived at the ice cream van, saw the price and got a big shock. Their mother asked them what had just happened when one of the twins said, "There's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with chewing gums in it for bloody £9. She was cranky. The video is hilarious. Hang on, has this got the... Oh, I think that's just them talking. So, I want the video. Where's the video? No, I want the full video. Show me the video. The video was funny.
Girls, what's just happened?
So, there's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9 for 2 of them.
£9 for 2?
Yeah, £9. That is going to get nowhere. One that comes on my street is either £1 a p or £2. That is going to get nowhere with that.
No, he ain't, is it?
No, he ain't.
That's well bad, isn't
He
it?
should know. And he only does bloody card. Stood there with my cash. Bloody hell.
That's well bad, isn't it?
Bloody well bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet he can hear me.
I love that last bit. I bet he can hear me.
Now,
Cranky little thing she is. I thought that was hilarious. What'd you say? The mum's a smoke show?
She complained to the ice cream person.
Oh, I know that I agree with
you just left it, didn't you?
Apparently the girls are world champion dancers. Well, I'm sure they probably could have afforded the £9 then. Feel old remembering when the ice creams were 60p each. I know, tell me, right? Prices for a single 99 flake have spiked to shocking heights of £5.75, showing the drastic shift in Britain's favourite cone becoming unaffordable for much of the country. The delicacy, said to be named after the Italian phrase that describes it as being top class, is a staple of the country's parks and benches. But vans in London, Birmingham and Newcastle have all breached £3.50 for a single cone last month. One popular tourist attraction in Coventry, a mother forked out $5.70 for a twin ice cream with a flake. Like, I don't actually care about the ice cream prices. I was laughing at the fact that she was going nuts about it. I just thought that was hilarious. One of these girls describing literally everything in life from me. The duo have been dubbed the famous ice cream twins were hailed as sassy, adorable, and brilliant by users who said they want more content about their opinions on things. Oh, great, more competition for me. Must post more videos like this. The girls are hilarious. I thought that was pretty good. I liked that. All right, let's whip through some of these other. All right, that one's quick. That was quick. Homeowner defending his wife using knife to cut armed man to pieces, according to Florida cops. A homeowner defended his wounded wife, grabbing a 7-inch knife and went to work on the accused gunman, cutting him to pieces, according to Florida investigators. When you bring a knife to a gunfight, you can occasionally win, apparently. The suspect was very much deceased by the time the deputies could get to him. It happened around 8:30 p.m. on May 16 inside the Avon Park home, about 75 miles drive from Orlando. Deputies found two possible victims, a female and a male, both at 69 years of age. Giggity. Both victims had what could be described as serious injuries. It was discovered that Lindsay Glenn used a ruse to gain entry to the victim's residence. Once inside the residence, he produced a firearm and shot the female victim in the face. The male victim, seeing the wife shot, armed himself with what was described as a 7-inch garden knife. In the minutes that followed, the homeowner went to work with the knife, overpowering the suspect and killing him. Ultimately, the suspect, Lindsay Glenn, was cut to pieces. When deputies arrived, the homeowner directed them to the 62-year-old's body inside the home. Details of how the homeowner was injured in their struggle were not revealed. He was treated at the hospital and released. His wife is hospitalized in a stable condition. I'd like to commend the male victim for his bravery and quick action in defending his wife in their home. We will pray for his wife that she has a fast and full recovery. The suspect has a criminal history that includes 12 felony convictions and 6 stints in state prison for charges including burglary, robbery, said man of color. Very much deceased versus not so much deceased. The way they keep saying that, like, he went to work on him, I'm guessing there were pieces. Just lightly deceased. Missouri Attorney General demanding accountability after Kansas City's tweet on Harrison Butker. The Missouri Attorney General's office is responding Thursday following a post on social media platform X by an official Kansas City account regarding Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. The city posted on X just after 7:40 p.m. on Wednesday, just a reminder that Harrison lives in the city of Lee's limits. The post came following backlash from Butker's commencement speech at the Benedictine College in... Oh my God. Oh, that's funny. Do you think the homeowner watched The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones? Maybe. The city later deleted the post and responded just after 8:20 p.m. with a typo saying, We apologies for our previous tweet we shared in error. Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas then responded on X saying a message appeared earlier this evening in the city public account. The message was clearly inappropriate for a public account. The city has correctly apologized for the error. We'll review account access and ensure nothing like this is shared in the future. On Thursday afternoon, the Attorney General's office said that they're demanding accountability from the Kansas City after Kansas City doxed Butker for daring to express his religious beliefs. Bailey is also demanding Lucas turn over all documents, records, and communication relating to his office's X post. Are we calling that doxing? That's not doxing. I don't specifically think that it's doxing. I mean, saying that someone is within certain city limits, like giving a general area, that's like saying, oh, Hayden's somewhere in Melbourne, in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Just because he's within the city limits. I mean, how big's the city? Florida sheriffs appreciate taxpayers saving the county money. Which sheriff? If it's not Grady, I'm not sure that I really care. Hang on. I should open Discord. Vodka. Yep. The scene from Reservoir Dogs. Oh, it is Grady.
But we have received information in social media that some of the criminals were going to take their criminal conduct into the neighborhoods. I would tell them, if you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that in Polk County, because the people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
That was amazing. I kind of want to take that as like a sound cap or a video to put up during trial streams. That's great. Okay. So, why are some Australian households about to be charged for generating too much solar power? This is some bullshit. So, for the longest time, Australian households were convinced to put solar panels on their house in order to generate electricity, feed power back into the grid, receive subsidies and all sorts of stuff in order to, like, bring down the cost of energy. There are so many solar panels now that New South Wales energy companies are now going to start charging people for putting money back into the grid. There was one woman that she generated more energy than she used for the month, and they charged her $600 for feeding it back into the energy grid. Many households with solar panels in New South Wales face the prospect of being charged for some of the surplus power that they generate from the start of July. Since 2021, the Australian Energy Regulator has been assessing the states or territories where electricity prices should take into account the cost of having lots of solar panel owners exporting power to the grid. The move was originally prompted by groups such as the Australian Council of Social Service and St Vincent de Paul. They argued that it was unfair that households unable to afford solar panels or batteries had to pick up additional costs caused by modifying the grid to absorb two-way electricity flows. By batteries, my grandparents used to use windmills to charge batteries and store power. I've got a little energy motor thing that I've got a 3D printer fan on because I want to build like a at-home windmill. I think all it's going to do is be able to charge my phone, but even that on itself would be great. The Public Interest Advocacy Centre also supports the move. The AER's 5-year rolling regulatory pricing updates meant 3 New South Wales-based energy firms, Ausgrid, Endeavour and Essential, were told in April that they could impose a fee on households exporting surplus power during the period of the day when it's sunniest, when the spot power prices are often negative. Thought solar power and other shit like that was supposed to be cheaper to run power? Other regions such as Victoria have no plans to impose such costs when their 2026 renewal time starts. The ACT's Evo Energy withdrew its two-way pricing submission and will not change for export until at least July 2029. South Australia and Queensland network tariffs will be updated in 25. The Australian Energy Regulator said the electricity network was not designed for large amounts of energy flowing back into the network. This two-way flow of energy, which with peaks in supply during the middle of the day, is overloading the network in many areas. So how about you fix the fucking network? The whole purpose of solar panels and renewable energy and all that sort of stuff to get us down to a net negative is supposed to be that eventually power is free. I get that you guys don't like that because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But after a certain point, this is just bullshit. Representative Thomas Massey installed solar and dismantled a Tesla to use the innards to power his whole farm. Musk loved it. Huh, no shit. So how much will they be charged? In Ausgrid's case, the charge will be 1.2 cents per kilowatt hour for exports between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. There'll be no charge for about the first 6.8 kilowatt hours, depending on the time of the year. Those able to supply power to the grid between 4 and 9 p.m., presumably from batteries from the latter part of that period, would be paid 2.3 cents. So basically, the trick here, people, is going to be to have a switch basically in your house. Turn it off between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Use the power yourself. Turn it back on after 4 p.m. and you're putting power back into the grid when they want it. Power companies here hate it because they have to buy the power and it's more expensive than generating it, so we all pay for solar panels. Most systems here only feed into the grid. Huh. Ausgrid says that it has 280,000 customers with solar panels, ranging from eastern parts of Sydney and coastal regions to north and south, and expects 180,000 more to have them by 2030. They estimate the annual cost will be $6.60 for the typical customer, or 13 cents a week. It's a very tiny signal we're sending, said a spokesperson. Even then, some customers may get a rebate, and it will be up to retailers to pass on that charge, not at will. As if the retailers are not going to pass on the charge. Here, dog, you can have this steak, but you don't have to. Pricing's been designed to encourage customers to use their own solar power first and keep energy bills lower for everyone across the network in the long term. Isn't that the point? Isn't the energy coming out of the batteries in order so that you can use it in your house first? Increasingly, electricity appliances come with timers so households can shift their power use to the middle of the day. Electric hot water systems, including heat pumps and pool pumps, for example, don't need anyone at home to operate. Dishwashing, clothes washing and drying, and electric cars also soak in extra power rather than export it to avoid any feed-in charge. We need to encourage people to self-consume. It already makes sense to do so. Live in Tennessee Valley, home of the TVA. We have a nuclear power and export our power to other places. Keeps our power bills pretty low. I should hope so. It's more hot during the peak of the day. Did I understand that right? Yes. Australia's 4 million households with solar panels, about 250,000 already had batteries. Okay, wait, hang on. Call me stupid here, but what's the point of having the solar panels if you don't have a battery? I've never really looked into solar panels because we're still renting, so it's not something that I can install on my property. How does the system not already come with batteries to store the energy? Is it literally that the solar panels are on the roof, it connects to the power, and either you're using it or it's going off into the system? Like, none of it's being stored for later use? The fuck's the point of that? Seems that green energy stuff always implodes on the consumer side of things. When have they not created a solar tile instead of putting them on the roof? They are the roof. I think they already have done that. Storage was growing faster than panel take-up as battery prices fall and consumers get next to nothing for their exports, maybe even copper cost. Oh, excuse me. However, Heidi Lee Douglas, chief executive of Solar Citizens, a hobby group, said many households with solar had already shifted their demand. Not everybody washes clothes every day, nor needs to charge up their electric vehicles. Yeah, because a whole bunch of us don't have electric vehicles and are never going to have electric vehicles. We know solar is a success story. Are we going to lead with a stick or are we going to lead with a carrot, she said. New South Wales Energy Minister Penny Sharp told the ABC radio on Friday that we need to make sure that the grid is stable in the future. Almost 1 million households in New South Wales with solar were saving about $600 a year on average on power bills. Solar and batteries are absolutely the future in terms of individual households and working communities in being able to share the benefits of solar. Living in Perth, it never rains. Birds would probably cook under those panels. Yeah, quite possibly. They want to regulate and tax it like everything else, apparently. Dylan McConnell, an energy expert at the University of New South Wales, said charging for exports during the sunniest part of the day was a long time coming and had been encouraged by the regulator. He said it was contestable whether there was too much solar power in the middle of the day. However, the equity issue of households with solar enjoying a cross-subsidy from those without would get worse over time. Cross-subsidies weren't limited to solar panels, he said. About 15 years ago, many people started getting air conditioners that added to demand and requiring the network to invest heavily, spreading the cost onto the people without those devices. We need to think about this in the context of everyone getting electric vehicles, lifting demand on the grid. If we want to encourage that at the right time to plug in, then we should be putting these things in now rather than after the fact. They feed right into the grid. You get a discount on your power bill for selling it to the grid. Huh. Tesla has roof tiles, but look at what happened in Texas in the hailstorm, millions in damage. Okay, so my opinion on this then is that there is a certain level of self-culpability in this, because if you have set up a solar panel on your property and you do not have a storage solution, then that's just stupid. But at the same time, it's like, well, I feel like I feel like it's kind of necessary to have the system set up so that it can accept the power, but I mean, I don't know. This is why we just need to go nuclear. Anyway. A Blair County man broke into a police impound to get drugs and guns back, according to troopers. In Huntingdon County, Pennsylvania, a Tipton man is behind bars after police say they found him illegally possessing guns and drugs. They say he tried to break into the impound to get them back. Michael McClellan, 39, is facing charges in 2 cases following 2 interactions with police early this month. On May 8, troopers were contacted about a man littering, allowing battery acid to pour into waterways, partying and shooting guns towards a river that fishermen and kayakers often use, charges show. At around 5:22 p.m, police went into the area and were met by him. He identified himself to troopers, and according to the criminal complaint, he had an active warrant and was arrested and searched. During the search, troopers noted in the complaint that they found live .22 LR ammunition in his right front pocket. McClellan then allegedly admitted to troopers that he was not allowed to have any firearms. Troopers then noticed 2 rifles in plain view of the back of the truck, along with a glass smoking device and more ammunition inside the truck. Troopers asked McClellan if they could search the truck, however he declined, and it was subsequently towed. On May 9, troopers searched the vehicle at an impound lot and found 6 empty plastic baggies with drug residue, a green scale labelled ice with drug residue. No. A single 9mm live round, a plastic bag containing meth, plastic container containing methamphetamine, 7 pills labelled 970, 2 orange pills labelled 970, and a pill bottle. 6 pills labelled W22, a green glass smoking device, 8 plastic baggies containing fentanyl, a 37.22 round, 2 additional 9mm live rounds. Why would you not just say they found 3 live rounds? 138 special live round, 138 Smith & Wesson live round, a black lockbox and black container, and 10 hypodermic needles. On May 12, troopers learned of a section of the fence at the impound lot had been cut using bolt cutters, according to the criminal complaint. Those bolt cutters were later found by police in the back seat of the truck. He broke into the impound lot and left the entry implement behind. Probably complete with his fingerprints and crap on the plastic grip, because, you know, this guy is not the brightest bulb in the box. Troopers watched surveillance footage from May 10 and saw a vehicle arrive at a nearby parking lot at around 2:47 a.m. By 3:17, troopers said the vehicle leaves and there is a visible cut in the fence in the footage. Police monitored a phone call between McClellan and an inmate in Blair County Prison shortly after his arrest. According to the criminal complaint, McClellan allegedly admitted to going to get his truck and claimed that there was only half an ounce in it. Police noted the phone call was monitored for an unrelated reason between McClellan and the inmate. What, you mean because they can monitor certain calls from prison? I'm shocked. McClellan is facing 2 felony counts of prohibited possession of a firearm, a felony count of drug delivery, a misdemeanor count of possessing an unrelated controlled substance, and using drugs for his May 8 case. He's also facing misdemeanors for trespassing through an enclosed fence, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, criminal mischief, and felony burglary count for May 10. Bail was denied due to no money amount will ensure that he would show up to his court dates. He is currently in Huntingdon County Jail. He has a preliminary hearing for both cases on May 22. As vacated Centralia funeral home prepares for a new tenant, owner makes a startling find. In the basement of a funeral home in a dark hallway off the embalming room, tucked inside the nook between 2 steel plates and a door, a visitor found 3 disembodied, neatly wrapped human legs, 2 of them marked with names and dates to the 1960s. The discovery stunned the property owner, Cindy Hanson, who had been cleaning up at the site of the former Morag Queen Boggs funeral home for weeks. After all, she'd seen her last tenant evicted, his funeral director license suspended for the home's filthy conditions, which included a dead rat in a stairwell. But as the shock dissipated on what first appeared to be a grisly find, a more mundane explanation materialised. The legs were likely the result of amputation stored away decades ago until their owners died, and they could be reunited and interred together, says J. Bulanga, who was operating a funeral home in Highland for decades. In those days, hospitals didn't treat that as medical waste, and cremation wasn't popular then, so they just embalmed them and held onto them. Sometimes people didn't get them, so they just stay. Ugh. The discovery was made as a former funeral home The discovery was made at a former funeral home operated by Hugh Moran in recent years, but he surrendered his license in March after state regulators found his facility in deplorable conditions. But the hidden nature of the room and the fact that the two of the legs were dated decades before Moran operated the facility indicate that he was not involved in placing them there. Moran vacated the building last month, and Hanson began scrubbing and filling 2 large dumpsters with trash. After weeks of work, she was seeing progress. 2 casket salesmen came to pick up a display last week and asked for a tour of the historic home with ornate oak woodwork and stained glass windows built by a cigar magnate in the late 1800s at the corner of South Elm and East 2nd Streets in Centralia. On the tour, one of the salesmen kept returning to a steel door in the dark hallway just off the embalming room. Finally, he got a pair of pliers and turned the bolt open. There was another plate, so he opened that too. Then he got to the door and looked in. He backed up and said, "There's legs in there." The 3 stood for a moment, then closed the door, returned to the plates, and pondered what to do next. "I was completely freaked out," she said, but her shock at the situation did not raise any immediate response. She called the Illinois State Police, who called the Marion County coroner, who advised her to lock up when she left on May 7th, and they would get back to her. The legs remained at the funeral home as of Tuesday, but the coroner said he will be getting them soon. Oh my god. Oh, and then they start talking about Senate bills with best practices and all that kind of crap. Like, yes, it's a funeral home, but imagine just walking in and finding pieces of people that were labelled. Like, people still live there. I don't think people still live there. I think it's more just that it's still being in use. All right. Frozen human brain tissue has been brought back to life in a major breakthrough. Researchers in China, so X'd it out, but anyway, have successfully frozen and thawed human brain tissue, after which it regained normal function. Again, X'd it out. I would like to see the study, please. They hope the new technique will improve ways of studying neurological conditions. Usually brain tissue doesn't survive freezing and thawing, although that hasn't stopped people paying to have either their brains or their entire bodies cryogenically frozen in the hopes of being reanimated in the future. However, Dr. Zhicheng Shou and his colleagues at Fudan University in Shanghai, China, have successfully developed a solution which can keep brain tissue alive when frozen. The team used human embryonic stem cells to grow brain organoids, small clusters of self-organizing brain cells, for 3 weeks, after which they developed into different types of brain cells. They then placed the organoids into different chemical compounds they hoped may help preserve the tissue while frozen in liquid nitrogen at least 24 hours, including sugars and antifreeze. After thawing the samples, the team monitored them for growth and cell death over the next 2 weeks. Based on the most successful, the researchers then repeated the process using different combinations of the chemical compounds, eventually finding one that led to the least cell death and most growth after thawing. The winner was called MEDI, short for four compounds: methylcellulose, ethylene glycol, DMSO, and Y27632. Further testing of MEDI revealed not only that the brain organoids could grow for up to 150 days after thawing, but the compound was also effective for use in freezing and thawing living brain tissue. The team tested 3mm cubes of brain tissue removed from a 9-month-old girl with epilepsy. What the fuck? And found that they continue to remain active for at least 2 weeks after being thawed. Writing in the journal Cell Reports Methods, the team said fresh, viable human brain tissue with natural pathological features is a more reliable model to study neural diseases than organoids. However, with limited accessibility and manipulability, cryopreservation and reconstruction of living brain tissue with specific pathological features remain hugely challenging. Basically, they're saying people they want donations of live brains. We know brain cells are very fragile and sensitive to stress, he said, adding that one day the work would be one small step towards freezing entire brains. Thinking decades or centuries ahead, we can imagine patients being cryopreserved when they have a terminal condition, or astronauts being cryopreserved in order to travel to other star systems. Well, they've got to get there somehow. Alright, and finally, they claim that AI has stolen their voices and now they're suing. Voice actor Paul Sky Lerman took a job in 2020 for which he believed he was providing a set of one-off voice samples. Years later, he says he heard his voice narrating a YouTube video and then on a podcast, even though he never recorded either of them. Now Lerman, along with fellow voice actor Linnea Sage, is suing AI firm Lovo for allegedly commissioning them for voice projects under false pretenses in order to create and sell AI-generated versions of their voices. The Berkeley, California-based tech company advertises AI-generated voice technology to be used in marketing, education, and product demos. Lerman and Sage are suing Lovo and seeking class action status to include other people whose voices and/or identities were stolen and used, according to the complaint filed on Thursday in the Southern District Court of New York. The complaint was first reported by the New York Times. The voice actor's lawsuit is just the latest in a recent string of legal actions brought against various tech companies by creatives, writers, and artists who say that their work was used without their permission to train AI systems that could ultimately compete with them. Such lawsuits have been adding to a growing wave of concerns over the training of AI models, which requires huge swaths of data that could run afoul of copyright and intellectual property laws. I mean, it really depends on what they signed when what the contract included when they signed up to do it. Washington's never mind. Send more paramedics. I'm dating myself with that movie reference. From the doctors who bought us frozen brains. Brains. Hang on. Implicit in Lovo's offerings to its customers is that each voiceover actor has agreed to their terms and conditions for customers to be able to access the actor's voice, the complaint states. But for Lerman and Sage and any others who have not agreed to Lovo's terms, the continued unauthorized use of the plaintiff's voices is theft of service and misappropriation. Lovo did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. In May 2020, Lerman says that he received a request for a voiceover narrative services on the gig website Fiverr from an account called user 521999087. When he asked what the voice sample was for, he was told it was being used for academic research purposes only, and that the scripts would not be used for anything else, according to the complaint. Okay. He said he was paid $1,200 for the job, the complaint states. Well, yes, in that case, it is misappropriation of his voice. 2 years later, Lerman came across a YouTube video that sounded as if it had his voice narrating it, although he'd never been involved in its creation, the complaint states. Then in 2023, he claims he heard of his voice being used on a podcast about the dangers of AI technology. The irony. Similarly, Sage was offered a job on Fiverr in 2019, producing test scripts for radio ads that she was told would not be disclosed externally, according to the complaint, and she was paid $400. Sage says she later also discovered her voice in a YouTube video, a recording of a Lovo investor presentation demonstrating its technology. Lerman and Sage alleged that the people who contacted them on Fiverr were Lovo employees who misrepresented what their voice samples would be used for and later sold or raised money on the back of the AI versions of their voices. To be clear, the product that customers purchase from Lovo is stolen property. They have voices stolen by Lovo and marketed by Lovo under false pretenses. The actors are seeking more than $5 million in damages, as well as a court order blocking them from continuing the alleged use of their voices. That one will be interesting to see. I might even... Hang on, where's the complaint? Oh, it's 37 pages. I don't have time to go through that right now. How long's the background? I don't think that's going to tell us any more than the news article already did, so that's fine. Oh, all right, folks. I went a little bit longer than I did. I'm pretty sure the wife's going to kill me, so... Sorry, I went a little bit longer than intended, I should say. Timeline for this week. Karen Reid back tomorrow. There'll be regular shows Tuesday through Thursday. Friday they won't, because that's going to be time when I'm in the air. So after that, the the streams while I'm away is going to be a little bit sporadic, but there'll obviously be things here or there. I'm going to preload as much stuff as I can so that there's still things going on. But when's the next Titty Ball stream? Probably tonight, I would think, my time. So Sunday morning US. I actually will need to check with Sir Drinks a Lot. I don't know why I just called him that. That was really bad. I said that because I immediately thought, where was he last night? I know he was at a wine tasting thing, so. But anyway, as always, people, please remember, you're not a piece of shit. You have value and you do not... You have value and you do contribute to society. So, as always, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and I'll catch you all on left flip side. Cheers, peeps. Jeff's struggling this weekend. Well, I suppose that he's... just look at the vid I just sent you. I presume that was on X. Hang on. What did you send me?
We're back at it once again with the Karen Reid.
Oh, the Karen Reid cover-up thing. Yeah, I got a little bit upset that I wasn't even... I mean, I get that I was behind the 8 ball on that, but, I don't know. Where are we? Transformers 1. Nope, and that's other stuff that is not to be disclosed, so that's fine. All right, I'm out of here, peeps. Stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers. Where's it gone? There we go. Ooh, I'm excited to see the credits.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.